All right. Got to turn that down first. Good afternoon, everybody. Nyia Harris here, an open book with Nyia Harris. I'm so glad that you joined me. Thanks for tuning in to Power 104.7, your home for hip hop and R&B. Today's guest is Adrianna Willis. I cannot wait to talk with her. She's a powerhouse and she's an amazing lady and she's super funny too. And she's my friend. How are you doing, Adrianna?
I don't know. Maybe, are you saying I'm funny looking? No, I'm just playing. I am doing well.
You're doing well?
Yes, I am.
Okay. All right. Well, don't be afraid to turn up that button too if you need more sound. You can hear yourself just fine?
You know, like my mom used to tell me, use your indoor voice. I have not mastered that.
You have not?
No.
Okay. I like projection. I like projection. I was really looking forward to today. It's been a challenging few weeks, but I'm in a really good space. And yeah, how are you?
You know, I'm in a good space too.
Yeah?
I can say that, you know, the last year and a half has been a lot for me. And, you know, now I'm starting to feel like I'm getting my stride as far as, you know, it's only been really a year since I've been a full-time entrepreneur, even though I left corporate America January of last year, but I couldn't focus on my business. Yeah. And now I feel like I am getting my stride and understanding who I am, what my business is, and then I'm actually practicing what I'm preaching.
I love that.
So that, you know, having my business is a godsend because when I'm not minding the crown, other people will say, well, you're not minding that crown. What would the other people say? Yeah. So it's a way to keep me on track too.
Well, we're going to get into that more in just a little bit. But, you know, speaking of minding your crown, self-care, right? I shared this story with you over the weekend, right? Like this woman, let me pull it up so I make sure I get all my information right here. So this woman, young woman, her name is Quita Cole. I sure hope I'm saying that right. 40-year-old Quita Cole worked 7 days a week, overworked and burnt out. She took a nap and never woke up after saying Quita needs rest. What do you think of that?
You know, a couple of people, you know, you sent it to me and then it kept popping up and everything. And everybody knows I always talk about rest as a revolution, especially for women, but especially Black women. And I didn't do any posts. I didn't talk about it because I had to sit with it because I was where Quita was when it comes to rest. And also, like a person that was like a sister, she closed her eyes and didn't wake up, and she was in her 40s as well. Yeah. And so it just shows the importance that we're always hustling. We're hustling because, you know, if she's a full-time entrepreneur, what it sounds like she was, you need that income. It's not a steady check. You don't eat if you don't make money. And so we now have this hustle mentality, but also we always make it look like rest is going on a vacation or doing something like that. And a lot of times you can't afford that, whether you are working a 9 to 5 or if you're trying to rest being an entrepreneur, which we know that's a 24/7 type of situation. Yeah. And so that's why it really hit home because, you know, you have so many irons in the fire a lot of times. But I was like, do not lose sight of rest in the city because, you know, and I'm talking to myself, I've had those moments where I didn't feel like I can go on, where I was exhausted and so many people were pulling me for every reason. And of course, trying to run my business. But just knowing that Quita needed to rest, she recognized it. She thought, oh, I'm just being funny about it. But she didn't realize that was her last breath, that, you know, tomorrow is not promised. So that's why we have so many co-working spaces. But how many spaces do we have to rest? And so if women had the opportunity just for a couple of hours out of a week, just to be able to get away from the outside world and just rest, where you didn't have to make all these preparations, let me cook, let me do this, just so I can go somewhere. But if your checking and savings account is set up like mine, I can't just pop and go on vacation. And I definitely can't just pop and go anywhere because I have too many people that are dependent on me to do different things in their lives. So this was a call to action that I really am saving women's lives.
You absolutely are.
By saying we need to rest. And it's more rest spots coming up across the country because we see that rest is something we have to stop saying we can get later. We can get later. because later may be a permanent rest.
Yep. That later may not ever come. The story has just haunted me. And like I said, as soon as I saw it, I was like, let me forward this to Adrianna, because you had been talking about that.
Yes.
So we had the opportunity to do an event together, and you were talking about it then too, so it was just like, here's another example. And I know you'll have an event coming up soon, and maybe even just use that because it's top of the news right now, right?
Yes.
It just happened a few days ago, to use that story as an example for women that, like, hey, this is why you need to rest. So thank you for indulging me in that. I want to share something else with you that's kind of in the same vein as rest. My neighbor, shout out to DJ, my neighbor, he sent me this video. Simon Sinek, do you know him? Do you know that guy?
No.
He's an author.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because you know what I was thinking about when you said Simon?
What?
Portia's husband from the Bravo show, the Housewives of Atlanta.
Oh, Portia, she just got divorced.
Right, his name is Simon.
Oh, okay. Okay, I was like, no.
What did Simon
You're like,
say?
where is this conversation going? Let me find the video really quick. Okay, so I don't want to play the video here. It's a YouTube video. You can find it on your own. But he talks about basically when someone is in need, right? You're having some sort of like mental health struggle. That I think on average, you just need 8 minutes. You need 8 minutes of somebody's like undivided attention, right? And so he talks about in this YouTube clip about how when, I think it was a friend of his, she was, he's like, how have you been? And she's like, not great. And he's like, why didn't you tell me? And she's like, I did. And in the text, she had said like, something that was very vague. And so anyway, when what he said at the end of this was that, now we have a code. Her and I have a code. Then we say, I need 8 minutes. And I said, when I watched this, because my neighbor sent it to me, when I watched this, I was like, oh, wow, what a great, like a great easy way to say I need help. And there's no like shame involved. You know what I mean? Like it's something very simple to say. What are your thoughts on that? What would you say if somebody said to you, Adrianna, I need 8 minutes?
You know what? When I was in corporate America, I came up with Hey Girl, Hey. And so, especially during the time when, George Floyd, all the COVID, all the stuff that was going on. And then I was like, it was some moments in time when things happened, but nobody even reached out. Like somebody that I was close to at work or blah, blah, blah. Not even at that time, my leader, not a hey girl, hey. And I said, and then I said, And so then I said, you know what? Some people are like, I'm lost for words sometimes. Yeah. When I see somebody going through stuff, I don't want to be intrusive. I don't know what to do with this. I said, all you have to do is do a hey girl, hey. And it could be a hey boy, hey, or hey man, hey. Yeah. But, primarily I'm around women. So it was hey girl, hey. And I would even get text messages. If something was going on, I'd get hey girl, hey. Right. And that told me, you're checking on me. Yeah. You're making sure I'm good. I don't have to do a lot of conversation and rehash it, because nobody wants to continue rehashing something over and over again to everybody. Right. But that hey girl, hey lets me know if I do need to talk to you, you're here for me. So it's the same premise as the 8 minutes. Okay. I love that. Yeah, I really love that. Yeah, I just thought that like it's a great way to check in on folks. I talk to a lot of people, that, and everybody's got something going on. Everybody's got their own stuff that they're dealing with. And wouldn't it be amazing? Wouldn't it be wonderful if we could normalize that like talking about the thing, like whatever's going on in your life, and there's no judgment, there's no shame, that, hey, I'm having a tough time, right? And I think that 8 minutes does wonders. My neighbor was like, so if I ever text you, I need 8 minutes. He's like, you better get your butt over here. I'm like, I will do that. Yeah, so sometimes it's more. And one of the things, sometimes people don't have people they can talk to, or they feel like they can't trust someone. And I have a looser journal for this reason, but you can use a notebook for this. So you basically write all the great things that are happening in your life. It could be a regular line notebook. And when life is life, and you take that notebook, you flip it over, and you write all those things when life is lifing, because it's important to get it out of you. Oh, for sure. But the great thing is you go back to the front, and you can see those moments where it was wonderful life. So then this too shall pass.
Yes.
You're in a storm. This is not your first time. And it's just the art of getting it out. So for those who don't want to have those conversations, or those who don't go see a therapist, that's another way of getting that outside of your body.
Yep, absolutely. It's so important to get it out, right? We'll come back to that in just a moment here. We are going to take a quick music break. We'll be back in just a little bit. You're listening to Power 104.7, your home for hip hop and R&B. All right, we are back to Open Book with Nyia Harris. Adrianna and I are having a great time here, just catching up and checking in. We're talking about manicures and pedicures, and I might go get a pedicure tomorrow, maybe. I hope. We'll see if we can work it out. But my guest, as I mentioned earlier, Adrianna Willis of Mind the Crown. She is a powerhouse. Okay, so this woman, seriously, you and my friend Gina, Gina, shout out to Gina, I feel like are everywhere, like I can see in like a year's time, you and her both having your products just in stores, like,
That'd be nice.
Can we manifest that? Can we just say that?
Wouldn't that be nice?
It's going to happen. It's going to happen. But I've been paying attention to your page. You've got a lot going on. Tell me what's going on. What are you excited about right now? What's happening?
The thing that I'm excited about, a couple of things. I feel like I have been in my bag with product creation, and people are always shocked that I create a lot of my own products. But the thing that I am excited about, one of the things, is this bag carries boundaries tote. Yes, I am telling you. And it comes in green, black, and of course my signature color, red.
Yes.
But it's just a good way, because one of the greatest forms of self-care is boundaries. And so I think a lot of times we get frustrated or passive aggressive because we're begrudgingly saying yes to things that we want to say no or no, not right now.
Yeah.
So I feel like when you carry this tote, it is a way to remind you and people around you about boundaries, about not only having them, not only communicating them, but also sustaining them. So like this tote, and like I was saying to my husband, Love Bug, I call him, I was like, I have no clue how I came up with that concept. Like, I don't even know how I came up with, I'm going to make a tote.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's crazy. But then also, I'm seeing the art of conversation is really needed. So we used to have a game called the Conversation Game. And it was because I met my husband on Plenty of Fish.
Okay.
And so we didn't get it. Don't judge. Don't judge.
There's no judgment.
I said husband and he put a ring on it. But that we couldn't meet each other for like 2 months. And so we had to talk because we worked 2 opposite shifts.
Okay.
And so we had to talk. So we learned the art of conversation. And then I'm like, okay, it has cards for every aspect of a woman dating in a relationship, situationship, or whatever.
Yeah.
But no woman will probably use all these cards. So I'm going to separate them and create new ones. And I see that for couples, just re-sparking how you fell in love or just having fun, play with each other when it comes to questions, or a woman that's considering to get back in that dating game, or she is dating someone and she needs to suss him out because he's fine, but can he read? And then, then we have, the other one where it's sis, say less, right? And that's for the girl squad. So we can have those conversations about relationships and what we're looking for and everything else. So I'm really proud. Like, I'm proud of everything I have, but I'm really proud of those new products. And then I'm super proud of my line of backpacks because school time, believe it or not, is around the corner. And to be able to have children, like to see how children feel when they see themselves on a backpack. I know I'm a self-care brand for women, but I had to do this. And so, and then they don't even want to put it in the bag. They want to take it out the plastic and then put it on their back and then see, like, especially little girls that go like, see, right? And I'm just like, it's like starting them early for self-worth, for self-love, and knowing that they can be anything that they want to be. So those are the things that, I talk about it passionately because I'm not just trying to sell the product. I talk about it because I know it makes a difference to the different people I'm talking about that are impacted by these things. And I'm just thankful People are rocking with me with these tote bags, and they're rocking with me on those new game cards. They are really top sellers.
Yeah.
And I just appreciate that. But
you're on to something.
I'm on to something,
Yeah.
but I'm on to things that I need in my life.
I love that. I love that. Well, if you see people walking around, I just got to show the camera again. If you see people walking around with a bag that says, this bag carries boundaries, you know exactly where to go to get one.
Yes.
What are they retail for right now?
Right now, I just extended the pre-order special because now they got here quicker than I thought.
Yeah.
Until July 11th, because I know people's checking and savings accounts the way it's set up.
Yeah.
But I do take payment arrangements as well, and so it's $85 right now.
Okay.
And then it'll be $125 after that. But this is vegan leather, and these are custom made, and they are beautiful.
Yeah.
And
it feels sturdy. Like it feels
really
like a good
is.
sturdy bag. And what did you say? You were like, this bag has everything in it. What did you say was in your bag?
Oh, in my bag, I have my shoes in there, like my really cute shoes, because I wasn't sure if my feet were going to be shown.
Yeah.
I wanted to be cute. And I have my phone in there. I have my large wallet. Mm-hmm. I had my water bottle in there. Like I had a lot in there.
Yeah.
And that was on purpose because we carry a lot as women.
Yeah.
And so we're going to stuff it.
Yep.
So because we carry so much, we will really feel the impact of the boundaries that we're carrying because of how much we're putting in that bag.
Yeah.
And then I love that the bag is so intentional. So if you get a green bag, the interior is green. And if you get a red bag, the interior is red.
Yeah.
And if you get a black one, then it's a black one. But then it also has the Mind the Crown logo in there. And it says royalty is a way of life. Because we always should be wearing our crown figuratively or invisibly. But it's important to realize our worth.
Yeah, I love that. What do you say to the woman who says, because I want to jump back for a second. There were a couple things you said that I wanted to jump back to. But what do you say to the woman who says, well, I can't say no. Everybody depends on me. I have to. I'm a people pleaser. What do you say to that woman who says, the bag's cute, but I really can't have boundaries because everybody needs me.
And you know what? I had to come to terms. A lot of times, my daughter said something to me. Last year I had to lean in a lot with her last year. And then now, she is a different person than what she was because she was a people pleaser and that took a toll on her. And so she is more vocal about how she feels.
Yeah.
But one of the things she said, I didn't even ask you to do this. You assumed you had to do this, or you didn't have to do it, but you could say no.
Yeah.
Right. And that hit me because a lot of times the reason why we can't say no, if we're really being honest with ourselves, we love the martyr badge. We love, I had to do this, all my life I had to fight.
Yeah.
And it makes us feel good, go girl, that we went on and did it. But we also can say no, not right now.
Yeah.
We don't always have to do something on somebody else's time. That's why it's really important to really suss out, is this mission critical? Is because some things we just can't. Like if we have a family member that needs to do something important, medication, grocery shopping, whatever it might be, right? Need to go to work, child sick. That's different. Yeah. But if it's like something that you don't have to do right now or something you just don't want to do, don't do it. And then also, sometimes that's where those boundaries come into play. When you start setting boundaries, there are going to be people that love you to death and you love them to death. But because you're setting boundaries and your spirit can't take certain things, you sometimes have to distance yourself from people that you love. And even though they're family, but I pray that those relationships are mended. But if they needed anything, trust and believe I'm there for them. But that's a boundary. That's self-care. And that saying no is a complete sentence.
Wow. That's a perfect place to land on, right? I know Laurent a couple weeks ago, he said the same thing too. Yeah, no is a complete sentence. I want to go back though for just a second to, have you ever been in that situation where you have said yes to something that you should have said no to? Wait, don't answer that. What does that mean? You should know by now. This is the 6th episode. What does that mean when I say that? I leave you with a cliffhanger. So we are going to switch from live mode into podcast mode. But I want to say I thank you so much to you listeners for listening to me live. If you're interested in the rest of the interview, you can check this out on Open Book with Nyia Harris on YouTube. In a couple days, we'll have it up and edited by the one and only great editor, podcast editor, Nate. He's delightful. So I appreciate you listening today. We're going to switch into podcast mode, and you have a wonderful day. Thank you.
Be worthy. Yeah.
All right, we are back in podcast mode. Adrianna, how you feeling over there?
I'm feeling great.
Okay, good.
I'm feeling like I'm minding the crown.
You're minding the crown.
Yes.
I also feel like I'm minding the crown too. Before the break, we had talked a little bit about, have you ever run into a situation where you have said yes when you maybe really should have said no? Can you give me an example or a time that has happened to you?
I have a lot of examples, but the one that resonates and that was really big for me, because I'm an only child. So you already know I'm a people pleaser. And and my love language is doing for people to my detriment. But it was going places like, like you felt like you were guilted to go certain places and do certain things.
Give me examples of what type of places.
You're going to get me in trouble.
High level.
You're going to get me in trouble. But you know what? I'll use this one because this one is a little lighter.
Okay.
Right? But for instance, I'm a full-time entrepreneur.
Okay.
And so I have to do a lot of vendor events. And I love being around people and seeing people because I feed from that. But also sometimes it's a lot.
Yeah.
Dragging the stuff in the car, dragging the stuff out, all the interaction and dragging it back in. And it's times that my spirit or my body just says, I am tired now. And I put good money with it as well. And I don't want to lose the money. But sometimes I will say, I am tired.
Yeah.
And this money that I would make, yes, I need it, but it's not worth it because I have to rest.
Can you say that part again?
Yeah, I will say the money is not worth it because I have to rest. And that's why that is so important to me, because how can I tell the women to rest if I don't even practice it? But sometimes my body is just like exhausted because I still, from corporate America, I still have a hard time like sleeping a lot of hours. So normally I'm still sleeping 3 or 4 hours. Like I go to bed at 1 o'clock and I wake up at 4:30 or 5:30, to get Love Bug's lunch and breakfast done. And it's because I have been conditioned, and it's going to take a long time, just like eating food real quick.
Yeah.
I got that from being in corporate America.
Yeah.
But I do give myself permission without guilt to say no. And somebody may invite you to something, and I probably really wanted to go, but the way I'm feeling today, sometimes you be like, you coming?
Yeah.
And I'm like, excited. And I'm like, oh girl, I'll be able to make it. Because, because my spirit may say, you know what?
Yeah.
You're tired. So don't even force yourself to do something because you're like, oh, I don't want to disappoint.
Yeah.
But you know what? I don't want to disappoint myself.
Yes. Well, you know what? How do you separate that from sometimes you don't feel like going and then you end up going somewhere and you have a blast? So there's a friend of mine, I'm not going to put her on blast, but there's a friend of mine that we went on a boat ride last year, and she was kind of like fighting it a little bit and then went and had a great time. Like she's like, oh, we should do this again. Like it's like, but you were fighting it the whole time.
And so you have to gauge that too.
Yeah.
Every day can't be, oh, I'm not doing this. Don't do it, girl.
Yeah.
Right? Every day can't be that.
Sure.
But it's those times when you're like, I can give myself grace and do it.
Yeah.
But as a full-time entrepreneur, I can't sit there and eat bonbons all the time.
Yeah.
I do have to push myself. But I can think of several places that I have went and I've had a good time. Or even last week, if I'm going back to vendor events, I was like, I don't feel like going downtown Minneapolis.
Yeah.
I used to work down there. That traffic is heavy, but it brings back
Memories, yeah.
right? And I was like, so I didn't go one day. And then I said, okay, let me go the next day. And I was like, oh, you know what? Yeah. It's not going to be a lot of traffic. I'm just going to stay home. Yeah. Right. And then something said, you know what? girl, get that card packed. You didn't go yesterday. Today you need to go. And it was one of the best experiences. One, I made a lot of money in a short period of time.
Nice.
But just the women who came and they talked to me and how they wanted to share their stories and everything.
Yeah.
And then the camaraderie with the other vendors that were there. And then seeing coworkers I used to work with or former coworkers, they intentionally came where I was to say how proud they were or bought something. And one asked me to autograph one of my coloring books because she was giving it as a gift to someone.
Wow.
And I was like, I would have missed out on all of this stuff.
Yeah.
So you really have to say when you do need rest,
Yeah.
but when it's an excuse not to do anything, when it's an excuse to try to box out the outside world.
Sure.
And a lot of times that's what it is. We don't want to interact with people because we're dealing with something or we just don't want to be bothered.
Yeah.
But you still have to have human interaction.
For sure. And think about if you've ever been around Adrianna when she's vending, like Adrianna, she's just a force, and you insist on giving hugs, right? Like you read energy the same way I feel like I do too when somebody needs a hug, right? And you've said people will come up to your table, they'll unload, they'll cry, they'll so they're having a moment with you, right? So when I'm not saying you need to do it all the time, but when you show up, they show up, right? In more ways than one, not just to buy something, right? So I feel like you are very much tied to your brand. Like, yes, you have all these great products, but like there's only one Adrianna Willis, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
because I want to save lives.
yeah.
You know,
and you are.
And, just going back to rest is that I had a colleague that had decided that she was going to retire. I think she announced it in March and she died by August. She didn't even get a chance to collect a retirement check. And so many women I worked around in their 40s died from cancer. So when I talk about self-care and rest, it's not because I'm trying to sell you something. I want you to buy something as a reminder or come to one of my events to be able to know that prioritizing your self-care is important.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to save your life through whatever I'm doing for you to pause.
Yeah.
And so
you talked a little bit ago, I think we were on a break, about the Woosah journal.
Yes.
Right? And how if you're having a great day, you're writing down the things you're grateful for. But if you're having a terrible day, flip it over, write down the things that you're going through in that moment, because it's important to get it out. You said. What happens, do you think, if you don't get it out? What happens if you don't get those things out? Whether it's talking to somebody or writing it down. Honestly,
it makes you sick.
Say more.
When you hold things in, it eats you up. Just like if you hold resentment for someone, that person's not even thinking about you or won't even know that you resent them or are upset with them about something, but you're holding on to it. So it festers inside of you.
Yeah.
And so when I say it can make you sick, it can give you high blood pressure. It can give you heart disease, but it's impacting your body because your brain is what controls your body. So if your mind is not right, you're holding all these things in and not release it. And just think about if you, say you were stuffing a bag.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm stuffing, right? It's but so much you can put in that bag before the bag will rip.
Wow. Adrianna, that is like a great analogy, right? Because there is only so much room you can stuff it to the gills, right? But eventually it's going to bust.
Yeah.
Wow. That's like a very vivid, I'm going to be thinking about that. That's just a really
Don't
vivid.
stuff that bag. Don't stuff it.
But I feel like, on a personal note, like I said, I've been challenging a few weeks and been through a lot. I slept practically like a baby last night. I usually sleep pretty good anyway, but it was like that deep, when I woke up this morning, I was like, yes, I felt rested. So I get what you're saying about holding on to things.
Yeah.
I want to get into some of these questions. So we did this last week with Scooter. Shout out to Scooter. We connect cards. Have you heard of these before?
Briefly from somebody named Nyia Harris.
Oh, okay. Yes, that's me. We connect cards. They are, it says create conversations that matter. So there are 3 categories: self-reflection, fun and light, and a bit deeper. Any one of those categories that jump out at you?
I like to go deep.
You like to go deep, just right out of the gate.
Yes.
Can I tell you when I do facilitations, and I say that, I say the 3 categories. They're usually like fun and light. I'm like, oh, nobody wants to go deep here.
I would be the person. Yes. Can we go deep?
Yeah, this has been with coworkers, so it's like, oh, I guess it doesn't really surprise me that they don't want to go deep.
Well, but you know what?
Yeah.
A long time ago, I took my mask off. So 90%, I showed up like 90% of myself was at work.
Really?
Like who I really was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were you ever met with pushback?
No.
No?
I had a leader. I was doing and then now it's like I got the cards in my hand, but I had a leader. We were introducing a new brokerage system for over 15,000 financial advisors across the country. So we were like doing town halls to share the goodness, to get excitement, and like, don't be scared.
Yeah.
Right. And so we had to like memorize like 40-page presentation. And so we had to make it our own. And just before I was ready to get on, and I was the first one that was doing it in Jacksonville, Florida. Okay. Right? The only brown person there, I'll say. Okay. Right? And mostly all men. And so my leader at that time, and she is one of the people that passed in her 40s.
Oh, wow.
That she said, now listen here, Adrianna. She said, I know you're going to come with that little corporate voice and blah, blah, blah. She said, be yourself. She said, that's what people want. Be yourself. And ever since she told me that, I was myself. The humor I have and da-da-da-da. Yeah. Like I was authentically almost myself, because we never can be 100%. But over the years in corporate America, people knew what you saw is what you got.
Why can't you be 100%?
I'm going to say, especially, one, we need to have a filter.
Okay.
Corporate America, period.
Yeah.
But also, I would say as a Black woman, it's certain things that would occur outside of the workplace. And a lot of times you don't want to bring that stuff in. You don't want to show that it impacts you because you're there to do a job. Now, after George Floyd, we could be more open, and that allowed me to go from like 75% to 90%, because now I was able to bring the outside world and how it impacted me in the workplace. Yeah. But nobody, no matter what walk of life you are, you will never be able to be 100% yourself, because you always have to have a facade on something when you're in a corporate environment.
Okay, when you're in a corporate environment, but now that you're your own boss and you're vending and this is your business, you are the brand. Are you showing up at 90% Adrianna, or are you showing up at 100% Adrianna?
I'm showing up 90% in person.
Okay.
But I'm not showing up 90% in written form, because I realize that I am my brand, and I have to be really mindful of what I communicate, what I'm feeling, and with social media, because your business can go away by one thing that you said. And
get canceled?
Yeah, this is my livelihood. So I'm not 90% when it comes to my business. I could say I'm probably 65% because I have to really be mindful. But in person, you're getting a good 90%.
Okay. I'm just curious what 100% Adrianna is like.
Oh, you don't want that.
I don't want that?
Yeah, it's overwhelming.
Oh, okay. I'm just gonna ask Brian then.
I got a lot of whoo. I tell you.
Well, we'll talk about that a little bit more. You want to get any of these questions?
Yes, go for it.
Okay. Ooh, this is a perfect tee up. Okay. What are people usually surprised to find out about you? What are people usually surprised to find out about you?
That I get scared, like when I'm speaking somewhere, or if I'm like going in a place that I don't really know a lot of people. Yeah, I am nervous, and so a lot of times, if you hear me speaking or whatever, it's the introduction of who I am. Like, hi, how are you? Or my name is Adrianna Willis, and I am right. That is me calming myself down.
So when you give like your 45-second pitch, like in B3 or whatnot, are you nervous then?
Yeah.
You never seem nervous to me.
But I really am.
Okay.
And I was saying to Lovebug, I'm going to have to come up with a persona. But I had to, like, when it comes to that type of stuff in the corporate America, because I dealt with a lot of C-suite people as well. Yeah. But I had to walk in like I am the ish. Yep. Right? And like, the queen is here. Yeah, you've been waiting for me. The queen is here. Yeah. So I had to psych myself up. Yeah. So, and do that introduction piece. So then this way I can get rid of the nerves.
You never come off as nervous. So I'll say that. So
Thank you.
Whatever you're doing, keep doing that. And two, I was going to say that one of the best pieces of advice I've ever gotten was to the body doesn't know the difference between nervousness and excitement. Always choose excitement. And so
good.
that's something I think about as a professional speaker, because I still get nervous, but I also find it also is helpful to just say the thing sometimes. Say you're nervous. Oh my God, I'm so nervous.
I love that.
And then people just like because they get it, they resonate with that. So, but it's also like anything else. The more you do it, the easier it becomes too. So, oh, this is good. This is good. What are you grateful for?
Life.
Ooh, you were quick on the draw with that one.
I am so grateful for every day I get to wake up.
Yeah.
Like, I understand more than most that tomorrow's not promised. And I'm also grateful for the experiences that I have had. I've had a rough year and a half of a lot of ups and downs. I even started going to a therapist.
Okay.
We haven't got to the therapy part because it's just me talking.
Yeah.
Right? Because it gives
we were going to get there.
Yeah,
we were going to get there.
Yeah, it gives me a chance just to get it all out and not be judged. Because some things I need to just say and I can't share it with family members.
Yeah.
I just need to get it off my chest. That's why that's important. I keep getting things off your chest. But it's really life. I understand more than anything that I could not wake up tomorrow. It is too many people we see on a regular basis. Look on Facebook.
Yeah.
That are younger than us, older than us, or whatever.
Yep.
And they pass.
Yep.
And didn't even know they were going to pass the next day.
I think about that every time when like we're shocked by something. The woman who passed last week, the Food Network star. You know who I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Amber Earl. Yeah. Like 55, right? Like that's still considered young these days. And yeah. Like,
it's crazy.
Yeah. What are you grateful for? Life. Quick with that one. Is there a second thing? Is there a second thing you're grateful for?
You know, it is. And, you know, sometimes I don't sometimes like, I ain't grateful for this.
Yeah.
But you know what? I'm grateful that God didn't harden my heart for love. And, you know, I had a husband.
Yeah.
And met him when I was in high school.
Okay.
And so I could have been hardened from that. And then always, you know, I had a lot of he's fine, but can he reads in my life. So they weren't, you know, like I started to devalue myself and my worth and stuff, you know, and like I lessened myself because I wanted to be in a relationship so bad. And, you know, all of that could have hardened my heart.
Yeah.
And made me, I always was a person that wanted to be married, not dating or doing all this other stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm just grateful that God made me sit still. I had to change things on the way I was dating, what I was doing, and everything else to even allow myself to be open to be in a relationship, to eventually that led to marriage. So I am thankful that he didn't harden my heart. And I'm thankful for a man that one of the things he said when I turned 50, they did a surprise birthday party and I was a pill during that surprise. I didn't get there until 10 o'clock. At my own house.
Oh my God. What time was the party supposed to start?
8 o'clock.
Oh my God.
Because they were starving. And my mother wouldn't let anybody eat until I got there. But one of the things he said is, you guys need to look at my face because I ain't going nowhere.
Yeah.
And he told me, I can handle you. Everything that you got going on, don't worry, I can handle you. And so, you know, that's good. You know, as women and even as men, sometimes we get caught up of what we see other people get. Like, and a lot of time it's a facade, right? Or what TV shows us.
Yeah.
But it's like that day-to-day stuff when you genuinely have someone that loves you, flaws and all. And I love him, flaws and all, because he ain't walking on water either.
Yeah.
But just not to have hardened my heart and being in my 50s and getting that chance.
I love that. Shout out to Brian. Brian or Bryant?
It's really Bryant. Isn't it sad that I don't say his name right?
You got me calling him Brian too.
You know, and even when I do a text message,
Yeah.
right? And they spell his name wrong. And we practice,
Yeah.
but he's just giving up because there's a lot of things I can't say correctly.
Okay. He just goes with it. He's like,
goes
yep,
with
call
it.
me Brian.
That's why I call him Love Bug.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, that's sweeter. Anyway.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. You know what? I asked that one last week, actually. Ooh. What is one thing you expect from friendship? What is one thing you expect from friendship? No
Loyalty.
pressure here.
Loyalty. I am really big about that.
Yeah?
You know, no, before I even go to loyalty, respect. Because
so respect number one, loyalty number two.
Right.
Okay.
Respect. If I feel like I'm going to tell you, I've always been this way. Even as a child, I got in my first fight for this reason with Pegleen in 5th grade.
Uh-oh, she's dropped the name.
And I went to school in St. Paul. I want to say it was called Sacred Heart, but not out here. It's not Highland Park, Minnesota. I was in New Jersey. Exit 9.
Oh, okay.
And I was known for writing plays back in the day, right? So everybody wanted to be in my play at school.
Yeah.
And she didn't like the part that she had.
Okay.
And she was talking smack. And I got so mad because I think some spit hit me, and I ended up slapping her glasses off and slapping her out of her chair.
What?
I was banned from plays after that.
What?
But
how old or what grade was this?
5th grade.
Oh, 5th grade. Okay.
5th or 6th? No, 6th grade.
6th grade.
But I was disrespected. Yeah. And so it's like, if anybody disrespects me,
yeah.
Oh my gosh! I'm not gonna knock the glasses off your face at this point, but I duly noted. Duly noted.
Do you what is that, like, keep score, like tally, like, oh, okay, I got your number, like, do you know what I'm saying?
I have to work on myself for that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get better, right? But if I feel like I've been disrespected, then I'm cool on you. And so I'm trying to get better where assume positive intent.
Yes.
And not just write them off, because I was good for that, right?
Because how do you know? How do you know that you're not misconstruing what happened, you know?
Mm-hmm. And I've done that with a lot of people.
And then you wrote them off, and then...
And then it was something else that they showed to me.
Okay.
Or you didn't know what was going on in their lives. But it's a difference, right? It's like real disrespect. I'm cool on you. I'll forgive you, but I'm cool on you. But it could be something that you felt slighted or whatever, and that was disrespect. So now I'm just trying to assume positive intent. Don't write people off right away. And it goes back to the grace I talked to you about before. If I want to get grace from God, if I want mercy, then I have to do it with people.
Yeah. Yeah. That can be a tough one, right? But yeah. Like, have you ever run into that with text? You know, like, you read a text and they're like, what do they mean by that? And it's like, but it's just like, there's no voice, there's no tone behind it. And then if you ask the person, and then I know I've run into that myself, like, let me call this person. And then I call and I'm like, oh my God, I completely read that the wrong way.
I had that last week.
Did you really?
And I was like, I'm trying to do business with you. Like, I'm paying you for this.
Yeah.
And then like, I don't like that message you left. And I'm like, I'm not going to keep texting back because I'm getting mad. Yeah. Right. And I said, let me just call me.
Yeah.
Like, we need to talk.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to go with positive intent and not just because I was saying to her, it gets lost in translation when we're doing all this texting. Yeah. It comes to a point. That's why at work, they always used to say, only send X number of emails. And if it keeps being an email exchange going back and forth, stop and pick up the phone and have a conversation.
Yep. That's smart advice. Smart advice. So I know you. So like, a text message can be a one-word answer, and it doesn't. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, because I know I've thought that before, like with other people. Like, why was it just like, why didn't they say hi first or whatever? Because like, you know, I'm guilty, guilty of using way too many exclamation points. But that's also how I talk too. Like, hey, hey. I'm very like excited and animated. Yeah. But I know you now, so I'm just like, oh, that's just how she is. Like, okay, you'll be like, yep,
thumbs up,
yep,
heart,
yep,
say less.
Exactly. Okay, ooh, this is a good one.
You got a lot of good ones over there.
This whole pack is actually really good. What is one personality trait that you admire in others?
You know what? Collaboration. And that's the thing that this year that I had to do with you. And I had to do it with Nyia. Right? No,
I'm an easy collaborator.
No, you are. Because, you know, I'm a little anal. I'm an A personality.
Yeah.
We know that about me.
I do know that about you.
I'm
but
very structured.
I think we're yin and yang, though. So,
but you're good at collaborating and communicating and talking and let's include other people, right? And that's not something I'm good at. And so that's why I got a taste of doing those 2 events with you. Yeah. And it felt good. Like, I still got a chance to do my promotion because that's what I love to do, right? Yeah. But it wasn't all on me, right? I didn't have to do everything. I didn't need to set up everything. I didn't need to promote everything, right? I didn't need to do everything at the event, right?
You didn't have to do all the cleanup by yourself.
Right. Yeah. Like none of those things. Yeah. And that felt good.
Yeah.
So that is one of the things I noticed, that you're willing to collaborate. And the other thing that you're willing to do is you are not a gatekeeper. You're willing to share resources. You're willing to connect other people. Hey, I know somebody that does da 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 da. Like, so you're willing to do that. And that is something I said, you know what? I like that quality about her, because that's the thing that I used to get frustrated about, was gatekeepers. Like, you heard about these opportunities after they got the opportunity.
Yeah.
And you're like, wow, you would have been nice if you shared this with everybody. Because if it's meant for you, it's meant for you, right?
Right. Exactly.
And so I admire your ability to collaborate but also be selfless when it comes to those introductions.
I feel like but I feel like, honestly, that stuff will come back to you, right? Like, it's like being a brand ambassador for Abundant Mindset. That's Dwight and Lynette's brand, right? Like, I love the mission. I love the thought of that there's enough for everybody out here,
Everybody
right? We don't have to gatekeep. Like, there's enough for everybody. And it's what you just said. What's for you is going to be for you anyway, you know? So.
No, but that is something I talk about when people, like, that's a quality that I try to, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be like Nyia. So now I am finding myself doing more introductions. I find myself, even when it's an opportunity, you know, that I want, I will share it also. Like, I'm doing more of that on Facebook.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Thanks for sharing that. Appreciate
that.
Let's see. How are we doing on time? You having fun?
Oh, I'm always having fun.
We got time for one more, and I really I like all these questions. But I really like this one. It's a great way to end.
Am I the only one who went deep?
No, Scooter went deep too. He actually wanted to do like some of each group.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay.
Did you want me to not say that?
Yeah, I wanted you to say you're the only one. No, I'm the only one who went completely deep.
You're the only one who went completely deep this far.
That's
episode
right.
6.
How you like me now?
Read this question out loud for me.
What is one critical ingredient for true happiness?
What do you think?
Self-care. Self-care is, and I'm considering it one word. It's hyphenated.
Yeah. Okay.
But if you don't take care of yourself, I always say, treat yourself, don't cheat yourself. So if you are not taking care of yourself, you're going to give people what's left of you instead of the best of you. And so I have learned that, just like when I quit my job on my day off, that was the greatest form of self-care I could have ever given myself. You know, leaving a 6-figure job and knowing a lot of people eat from that check, but to walk away from that because I knew if I stayed, it would probably kill me.
Oh my gosh.
I felt like I was saving my life. And I'm not saying all these bad things were happening to me, but my spirit said, you're gonna die if you just keep doing this. Or maybe it was, you need to go so you can save other women's lives. But self-care, when it's not selfish, it's not selfish. Like, we will spend $1,000 on a pair of shoes for somebody, right? But I think of me. But I will spend $20, most $30, or I can't do this, I can't do that. But I will bend over backwards and cause myself hardship to do something for somebody else. And so that one thing that is making me happy is that I am communicating what I need. I'm taking what I need. And it doesn't mean that I can't be less for other people, but I know that I need to refuel myself and I deserve to be happy as well.
Absolutely. What are you going to do to refuel yourself, self-care, coming up this week?
You know what? I am refueling myself a lot.
Yeah.
Even when I do my schedule, right? Somebody said, well, you got a lot of things in the fire.
Yeah.
And I don't want to quit a job to burn out as an entrepreneur. And so one of the things, and this is where a business plan is really important as well, I know how my business is, and I know when money comes in a certain way. And so I am now able to plan out, okay, I'm going to focus on this right now. Okay, right now I know, okay, I'm putting everything on pause. I got this event coming in, the self-care blueprint for businesses. I know that's July. And then I know I got all these events along with my own event, another mindfulness event in August. So I'm like, it's one of me And yes, I'm starting to pay people to help me as well, but it's still one of me. And so I can't be on all cylinders. I have a different focus. I know next year I want to have Rest in the City, a brick and mortar location, third or fourth quarter. So I know I have to pace myself, because if I don't, I'm not going to be here. And so that hustle manifesto, or that hustle mentality, I have hustle manifesto affirmation cards, but it's not about helping you hustle harder. It's about you hustling without burnout. So how am I taking care of my self-care? I am resting when I want to.
I love that.
Although I get up early every morning, guess what? I'm not on that laptop until 10 o'clock. I am making myself breakfast. I'm having a little coffee. I'm watching a little something on TV, right? On YouTube, right? And then I'm going upstairs. And when I say today I need to take a day off, guess what I'm doing?
Take a day off. I love it. Perfect way to end. Adrianna Willis of Mind the Crown. You can go to mindthecrown.com. Check out all of her self-care products. Check out what events are coming up next. You and I collaborate for Ramsey County in October, end of October. You've just been, I knew this was going to be a great conversation. I say that for every conversation, but I really knew that this was going to be a great conversation because we always have great conversations.
Yes, we do.
And I just appreciate you so much more than I think you'll ever know. I love you. So, closing out, let me tell you, my guest next week, guess who my guest is next week?
I don't know. Who is it?
My guest next week is Rasheem Harris, one half of R&B. Rasheem Harris, my husband.
That's right. You put a ring on. That's right. I love Rasheem.
One half of R&B Edibles. So he is the R in R&B Edibles. Adrianna just put that together today. She's like, that's what it was about. She's like, I thought it had something to do with music. Hopefully his business partner, Brian, will be here. Brian and his wife, Delaney, just had a baby. So if Brian can be here, great. But for sure, Rasheem will be here. And we're going to have a conversation. We're going to talk about the business and other things.
You know what? I may have to bring. I don't think you need to ask him those questions.
We don't need this.
I think we're gonna have to hook up. I'm gonna have to make sure we're in this thing.
Okay.
And then you guys can ask each other those questions.
Okay. I'm good with that. You know what? I just have to say this. You know how when you do like a hard reset, like on your computer or Xbox or whatever, I told him, I said, that's what it feels like. That's what this love feels like right now. Like somebody hit the hard reset button and like, I'm just like, oh, I love him.
You know what? And I know we have to go, but I'm going to tell you, it was because of, the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And, you have ebbs and flows. Even with me, I told you my wick is very thin.
Yeah.
Right? But I'm going to tell you, because my wick was very thin, because I had those conversations, and that it feels like a second honeymoon in our house right now.
Oh, wow.
Like we're, because we, like I told you, we tried to create an image that you guys had. Didn't work out for us like that. But it's a great feeling. And every so often, we as couples, as married couples, we need to reignite. Like, why did we fall in love with each other? Because they stop being our lover and they end up being our partner. And it becomes transactional sometimes. But we forget this is our lover too, right? And so when we bring that love back, and it doesn't have to be sexual, it's intimacy. That it feels like a honeymoon. It feels like, and that's what it's been feeling like with Love Bug.
I'm so happy to hear that. Well, tune in next week.
See
what we talk about. Tune in next week, Monday, July 7th. Like I said, Rasheem Harris will be my guest. I want to thank you for being here, Adrianna.
Thank you for having me.
I want to thank the listeners. I want to thank the watchers. Like, this has just been amazing. I love this ride. I love this roller coaster. I want to continue to learn and grow from this and continue to do better. So I thank you. I appreciate you for listening and tuning in, and have a wonderful week.